Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I hope you can hear me all right. My name is Seiji Niwa. I'm the Regional Compliance Director at Microsoft. And I would just start by saying thank you to the hosts of this great event. I mean, I've already learned a lot from the first session, and I look forward to learning more today. So the panel that we're on today is really on the bleeding edge of compliance. You know, how is AI being used? How may it be used going forward? And I think we have a great panel, and I'm really looking forward to learning from them and sharing ideas with the audience here today. So I will actually start by allowing my colleagues to introduce themselves first, and then why don't we start with Vince all the way on the left, and then I'll introduce myself last.
Well, thank you, Seiji. My name is Vince Walden. I'm CEO of KonaAI. We're a Covisint company, and I'll talk about why we merged last year, a little bit about Covisint too. But my passion is around data analytics, finding hidden money, and helping compliance measurably improve their programs through the use of data analytics, and more recently, through the use of agentic AI. And I'm extremely excited and happy to be here. This is our third year sponsoring this event. I always love coming to Tokyo and Kyoto, which will be tomorrow. It's a very special treat and an honor to be here. Just as background, I grew up doing white-collar investigations. I was a partner at a Big Four firm for many years, started my career at Arthur Andersen, then KPMG and EY, and then in 2020 left the consulting world to start this company, KonaAI, and doing just that, building analytics programs using technology. And I'm really excited to talk about, which we'll get into later, how agentic AI is really changing the game, not only through whistleblower programs and culture, but throughout all the compliance functions. So I look forward to discussing that with you.
Hi, my name is Yoshikazu Shirai. I'm a technical fellow at FRONTEO for my UBIC. My background, I major physics and applied physics and manufacturing company, Japanese traditional companies, almost 7 years. And after that, US company, semiconductor equipment company, 10 years. Then I joined FRONTEO for my UBIC, 2007. At that timing, we started to develop forensics software because that we, of course, look for the good tool. But unfortunately, in Japan, we don't have good tool which can analyze with using Japanese or other Asian characters. So that's why I had to start to develop by ourselves. And facing to the data volume growing very much around 2010, and then we almost give up to handle just a traditional search technology. Besides that, we started to develop our AI. That's actually today's subject. And recently, as you know, Gen AI coming. And I'm now working on how to use Gen AI, especially for the whistleblowing, internal whistleblowing report system. Thank you very much.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ming Liu, and actually I have an English nickname, Gooseby. So please feel free to call me Gooseby or Ming-san or Liu-san. Okay. So I'm a partner of PwC. I'm focused in the forensic technology business. Regarding my career, I think it's quite simple compared with the previous two gentlemen. So I graduated from the university in 2006, and after that, I joined the previous Big Four firm in Shanghai, actually the same firm as Vincent.
We worked on some projects together.
Yeah, we worked together, actually. But at that time, he was partner, and I was senior associate, so reporting to him, okay? So I started my career in the Big Four forensic technology area from 2006, and so far it has been I think almost 20 years in this industry. And I came to Japan in 2014, joined PwC, and from there, together with my fellow, we basically created the new forensic technology business in PwC Japan. Actually, here in this room, there are some like gentlemen we worked together before. My job at the beginning was pretty much focused on the e-discovery. So basically, using technology to dig out the digital evidence from PCs, cloud storage. And these days, as the AI technology develops, so my area is actually, getting expanded from e-discovery only, but to cover like, the AI solution development. And also quite recently, we started our cyber business focused on the incident response in Japan. So I think, today it is actually my first time to join this event. And I think it is like my great honor to be able to discuss with the gentlemen here and also exchange our ideas with all the gentlemen and ladies here in the room. Thank you.
And if I could add, I'd like to thank Goodspeed, because Goodspeed and PwC helps resell the KonaAI technology in Japan. So I'm very grateful for him and the team there in PwC for that.
Yeah, it is also our honor. And I think PwC is one of the first to sign up on the KonaAI in Japan. So I think Vincent, you will give more details. So yeah, let's see.
So as I mentioned, I'm the regional compliance director at Microsoft. Prior to joining Microsoft, I spent most of my career in private practice as a litigator and as an investigator and as a compliance professional. I worked in Tokyo for about 10 years, and I worked in the United States for about the same period of time. Mostly I focused on in the criminal space on white collar matters and antitrust matters, and then I also did a lot of commercial litigation. Prior to joining Microsoft, I was the head of investigations at Halliburton, which is an energy services company based in Houston, but with global reach, and so that I had global responsibilities with respect to those investigations. In terms of how we use AI now, I'll talk a little bit about how Microsoft uses AI now in its investigation and compliance functions. And then what we'll do is we'll switch gears, and I will ask questions to the knowledgeable people to my left, and hopefully we can have an interesting discussion about and maybe a debate about AI and in the investigations and compliance space. So we at Microsoft use AI across the investigations lifecycle. So it's involved in very early stages of investigations, from the stage where we're putting together interview outlines, through the interview process, into things such as redaction or creation of timelines or things along those lines, and then even into the reporting phase. I would highlight, and I think that this is a really important point and something that we'll probably come back to again here, there's human governance throughout this process. This is, as my sales colleagues put it, it's not autopilot, it's co-pilot, right? It's not something that you just let go to run the way it needs to be, to run the way it wants to run. The other thing that I would mention is that we use, in the compliance space generally, we're very focused on the use of data analytics. How can we use data to better understand and mitigate risk, right? And that's a really, really important part of the way that we work. I think it's really important where that data comes from, what that data is that you use, and there's a whole additional conversation that we can have about that. But certainly it's a very big part of the way that I work and the way that I advise the business about what the risks are. So why don't we jump into the questions? I thought I'd break it up into three sections. First, to really focus on where we are now. Second, to talk about the possibilities and the challenges that we're facing or may face. and then really to look forward to the future and how we would address these. So I will start with Vince, and I wonder if, Vince, you can talk about where we are now. What is the state of the art? What are the frontier companies doing in the AI space? And kind of give us a sense of where things are right now.
Okay, well, thank you. Now is a very exciting time to be in compliance. And typically you'd think, what? That's not very exciting sometimes, but it is transformational what I'm seeing in companies around the world in compliance. It is ripe for, I'll say, disruption. Specifically, when we think about compliance and how they're embracing AI, KonaAI completed a survey that was sponsored by Compliance Week, and we surveyed. The survey went out to thousands of Compliance Week subscribers and professionals. We interviewed several hundred compliance professionals. 84% of the respondents said that they are using AI in various capacities in their compliance function. What was interesting, though, only 25% said that they thought they had good governance or strong governance in place. So that there is a gap between use and trust. And I think through technologies, we are helping bridge that gap. But again, we're compliance. We're skeptical by nature, so we don't trust things. We want to see evidence. There are more technologies and tools that you'll be seeing rolling out to help build that trust gap, especially with data privacy and protection. So that's an interesting thought. Now, what's interesting in that current state, and I'd like to hear from my other co-panelists on this, we're embracing it in all aspects of compliance, not just in whistleblower hotlines, not just in policy development, but in all things such as transaction monitoring. So we're seeing disruption across export controls and sanctions compliance, where traditional manual processes are being assisted, and I'll call them with digital assistants. And Sajid, not like what you said, they're not, I don't call them digital employees. They are digital assistants, which I'll introduce later in a minute. But in third-party risk management, I would ask for the audience, if you've got teams of 15 or 20 people doing due diligence checks anymore, especially if you're like in the banking or a heavily regulated industry, I would challenge you to rethink that. You are spending too much money and you're wasting resources. If you haven't considered agentic AI in your third-party due diligence, then now's the time, or it will be time very soon when your CIO or CEO cuts your budget in half. And this is real talk. It will happen. There's no reason, I can't think of any reason why you wouldn't be using agentic AI in your third-party risk, in your export controls, even in your monitoring and transaction monitoring. We see it in procurement, we see it in finance, we see it in internal audit, very much in compliance when you want to measure for perhaps improper payments, etc. And what's really exciting is even in culture. You know, there's a wise saying, you can't monitor what you can't measure. How do you measure compliance? And in compliance professionals, when you can take your annual employee surveys, which again, most compliance professionals, most organizations do an employee culture assessment or a culture survey, right? I'm sure Microsoft does. But taking culture surveys, exit interviews from the employees, past case investigations, informal, formal feedback, all those help measure culture assessment and trust within the organization. Are your employees aligning to your values? And when you can compare that year after year after year using some digital assistance and AI, the task becomes easy. And I was recently at a large conference in Miami last month, or actually 2 months ago, and the number one thing that a compliance professional can do to help, satisfy the board and satisfy especially the CEO is when we can talk about culture and how you're measurably changing, not just subjectively, but with data. And agentic AI can be a real useful tool in that respect. So again, I'm going to show some examples in a little while, but I'll pose to my panelists, how are you seeing current state changing?
Yeah. So yeah, thank you, Vincent. So I think I definitely agree with you that AI is actually changing a lot of things. How we run the business and how compliance is forming these days. I think I'd like to share a little bit from my work in PwC. So as a consulting firm, what we care is to provide the precise advice to our clients and at very reasonable cost, right? So I think with the AI tools getting into existence, some benefits we can see is, of course, we definitely raise our efficiency. So for example, in terms of the data analytics jobs, Vincent, you are very familiar with, right? So the DA jobs, like before, a task that was cost about 1 week time of work. So nowadays, if we use AI or some other tools, those type of work can be done within like probably 1 day. And if you look at the accuracy, the data quality, it is okay. It is okay. But here is something I'd like to add more. So I think at least based on our experience, we are seeing generally speaking the AI's quality is getting better, especially compared with like 3 or 4 years ago. But still today we won't say that it's actually perfect, like 100% accuracy, right? So I think to me one of the very important thing to always remind myself is we need to implement kind of like workflow which is AI plus human instead of like pure AI. So as a consulting firm, right, we always need to make sure that we need to do some, due quality check about whatever the results it is coming from AI, and make sure that the accuracy is okay, the quality is fine, so that we can use those results as for reference into our like report. And another thing we are trying to do is, of course, we use AI a lot, but regarding our final work products, we seldomly use AI for the final results, but most of the time we use it for reference. So here, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying like AI is not good, but we are using it. I'm just saying we should always remind ourselves, like do the manual check and make sure this is reflecting the precise answer to our clients.
Goodspeed, can I even take it one up level? You talk about human in the loop. How about expert in the loop, not human in the loop? Human can be anybody, but the results, you need to have the domain knowledge worker, which is you guys. It's the compliance professional with expertise in industry to know what good looks like. Because if the AI comes out bad or incorrect, you should know. You should have the experience, the expert in the loop, not just the human in the loop, to know what good looks like. So I've seen a lot of talk. We've heard lots of the word. We've heard in AI, human in the loop, is important thing. And people are now one-upping it and saying, yeah, expert, the PwC expert, or the expert in the loop is an important standard, I think.
Shirai-san, may I ask you, how would you assess AI adoption in Japan? I mean, we've heard about the direction where we're going more globally, but how would you assess AI adoption in Japan specifically?
Okay. Thank you very much. Our company developed our AI called Kibit 2012. At that timing, the purpose was that how we can reduce the total document review target. Of course, keyword search and fast target we decided, but still narrowed down by keyword search, but still very huge size. So sometimes at almost 1 million documents, it's impossible. So that's why AI can help to reduce, we thought. How? That's a very challenging point. at first, we have to prepare the training data set, which is a hot document. Which kind of documents hot? And what's a responsive documents? So training data set, we finally found that the people accept that the statistical method, I mean that the random sampling, total universe and random sampling, like 1,000. And then if inside of the 1,000 hot document 100, so 10%, right? So total 1 million, then 100,000 documents should be hot document, something like that. That's I think still we have to keep the similar method. Even Gen AI growing and very accurate right now. Almost everybody agree. Very much accurate right now. Not 100%, of course, but still we have to check by human. As Vince, you mentioned, expert. Yeah, expert, like lawyers, for example. But such a AI doesn't matter that traditional AI or Gen AI. That's not much different, I feel. However, the difference Gen AI is Gen AI can expand the question. I mean that the prompt, when you use Gen AI, we prepare the prompt to feed Gen AI. And Gen AI run and output something. So the traditional AI doesn't expand. I mean that the traditional AI need very detailed information. Otherwise, traditional AI cannot input outside of the scope. I mean that training data, if training data doesn't have such kind of word, then traditional AI cannot output expanded result. But people want to have the final result, just a conceptual things, right? Like antitrust matter. So what's an antitrust? So people easily think about that. Not just the specific words only, but also concept, right? So such kind of different, mainly traditional AI and Gen AI. And then I think another thing is that data security things. Because traditional AI, especially for our developed AI, doesn't require expensive servers or huge memories. Our AI is very lightweight and very fast running, even accurate performance. But Gen AI, as you know, requires a huge amount of that cost if that smoothly running, right? So that's why I think both AI, we have to pick up that good point only. Just lightweight things and the data security things, very close, isolated environment. And Gen AI, even open space, but we cannot put confidential information, but like conversation things, Gen AI can handle. Yeah, that's my opinion.
Maybe I can ask a follow-up question, Shirai-san. You mentioned security and data confidentiality as being a major concern. I mean, how do you, if you are faced with somebody who's saying, look, this is the major issue for us, this is why we're hesitant to use AI, hesitant to employ AI in our work, what is your response to them? How do you respond to them if they ask that question?
Yeah. So especially for the culture, not actually culture, but Japanese corporation have the strict security policy. And outside of the firewall, we cannot put the confidential information, like even an employee name or development items, things, new development things. We cannot put in a prompt for Gen AI. So that's one limitation. But general things we can put, right? And if that small environment, Gen AI can work smoothly, then we can put set up the Gen AI inside behind the firewall. And I think it counts maybe later, several years later or more. But historically, I feel that will come. But for now, we need to think about the kind of balance, technology and cost, and data security. Probably all of you remember when a cloud environment, cloud service coming, I remember 2012 or around. At that time, people think that it's too early or it's impossible to run a corporation email outside of firewall, right? But now,
It's all in the cloud.
right, everybody uses a cloud system like Microsoft M365, right? So people, data security policy trend is changing. So maybe later, 10 years later, everybody use Gen AI, outside of the firewall. That could happen.
Can I also add to that a little bit, just to give context? Remember, if we go back in history, AI has been around for 20 years, and machine learning and technology-assisted review for document review has been around for 15 plus years. You might have heard of TAR, technology-assisted review and document review. And again, those are behind the firewall. They can live in your environment or your cloud. And then, of course, 2022, generative AI got big, and the difference with that is the ability to generate content. Machine learning was find me more like this. Smoking gun email, give me more like this. Great, all day long. Calculate your F1 score. Great. And again, that's widely used. Generative AI is the ability to create content, images, video, audio, information. That's great. And everything that we're doing now in Claude or ChatGPT, and you're going out asking ChatGPT, you're going out on the internet, there's security and policy information there because you don't want to put your company's information asking ChatGPT a question and putting it out there. Compliance people have concerns with that oftentimes. That is not agentic AI. It's this because again, no one was talking about agentic AI 2 years ago. It really, maybe not even in 2024, 2025, that's when it got popular. And that is what makes agentic AI work is what's called a RAG model. And again, I'm geeking out a little bit, so forgive me, but we all should know this. Retrieval Augmented Generation, RAG, Retrieval Augmented Generation. That is your private sector of domain knowledge. It's not going out to ChatGPT, but it's having the power of a ChatGPT or a Claude, but only in a specific domain of your data. It's encapsulated within your environment. The reason that's good is that now you can have kind of families of documents by domain. So give me all your hotline data and your whistleblower data. Put that in a RAG model. Do not ask that RAG model what the weather is tomorrow. It won't know. It'll reply, I don't have that information. It's not connected to ChatGPT. It will only ask questions on the data that it's fed in that retrieval augmented generation. So you've it's a domain. And by doing that, you can reduce hallucinations because it's not going to create a random case or a hotline report just to answer your question. It's only allowed to answer questions based on the data that it's given. And so that helps reduce hallucinations. But it's also a security thing because, again, it's only that data set. So as you have discussions with your IT, think about it in RAG models, not just OpenAI or ChatGPT, which, again, those are great tools too. And there's enterprise versions of it, like Microsoft offers, that allows it to be enterprise and private. But that's really not what drives agentic AI, which we'll describe in a minute. One last comment, and again, I'll say plug for Microsoft. Oftentimes, because you're doing AI and you're wanting to use AI use cases, especially if you're in the cloud, like in the Microsoft Azure cloud, there's an IT concept called consumption. You may not know that word consumption, but you should, because your chief information security officer knows it very well. In most large companies, they have signed an agreement with Microsoft or Google Cloud or AWS, but oftentimes if you're a Microsoft Azure shop, your CIO has guaranteed to spend X amount of dollars with AI and processing consumption on Microsoft. So I know this is not your group, but this is important because this is how you get money from your company to pay for your compliance initiatives. Sometimes it'll come out of the IT budget because they have guaranteed, like let's just say they've guaranteed $5 million of spend, of processing spend in the Azure cloud. So your CIO is begging you for use cases. He or she has use cases for the other parts of the business, but when you come to them and say, look, I've got a use case for compliance, can you help me? Is there budget in your spend? About half the time or more, they'll say, yes, let's talk. Because then you hit that, you're going towards that cap, your guaranteed minimum. So if you're looking for budget to fund ideas around compliance, talk to your CIO or your IT group, because there's probably budget outside compliance budget to fund your initiatives because it's AI. So again, there's money out there is my point, and that's very important.
Since we're talking about the potential and challenges of AI right now, I'll just ask a Japan-specific question to Godspeed. I wonder if you could tell us a little bit about what you see as being the major hurdle to AI adoption in Japan. When you speak to C-suites, when you speak to IT people, what are you seeing as being the real hurdle to AI adoption? What is preventing people from moving there? We've talked about security already, but beyond security and beyond mindset, which I think Shirai-san also mentioned, what needs to change in order for that to take place?
Yeah, thank you. This is a very good question. So I think my answer to this question is actually also somehow linked to the previous session. I think Abe-san was talking about the cultural difference. Yeah, I think one of the very obvious reason is really resides in the cultural difference. So here in Japan, I think Japanese people really care about like harmony. Right, and Japanese people, or if we talk about the overall business, mood in this country, we don't really, like something like a sudden change, or if we want to change something, we would like to, make a lot of preparation to make sure that we care about everybody's, the benefits in the change, and nothing unexpected, would happen to the extent of possible. So I think there's a kind of like a misunderstanding about Japan, saying, okay, Japan is very conservative about technology. They just not want to change. But I think my understanding is totally different. You think about Japan. Japan is like a really smart country that invented so many great technologies, right? Even today, and Japan has so many Nobel Prize winners in this country. So I don't think it is like the reason is Japan being conservative, but it's more like as I mentioned in their culture. So Japan is instead of like being conservative, they are trying to be precise. If I can say that's the word, precise. So the precise means they want to think about what will be the potential side effects of implementing these new technologies, right? So as Shirai-san mentioned, a couple of years before, people were kind of like hesitating to implement the cloud service. But eventually after 5-6 years, cloud is everywhere. I think it's the similar thing for the implementing AI, another reason is I would say sometimes if you think about the cost of trial and error, it might be a bit like higher in Japan. So that also add more pressure to the decision makers. Like you need to think twice before you really take any action. Because if there's something wrong, the cost of error, it might be really high. And are you ready for that, right? So I think all this kind of like very considerate thinking, to me, I won't say it's a bad thing. It is a good thing if I think, but at the same time, it is not only Japan. The world is changing at a very fast speed. And regarding AI, I think this is the technology which is developing at the fastest speed we have ever seen in the past decade. So even in Japan, we see like two different patterns. So for some companies, for example, like SoftBank, I think they are one of the ones that is like very actively welcoming the new technology. But at the same time, for some other specific industry, they may be they are a little bit like left behind, I would say. But I think as time goes on, the cost for those being left behind to adjust themselves will be higher. Yeah, because the AI age is really it's already here, it's coming. So I think my message to the Japan the business decision makers will be, if you haven't really thought about implementing the new technology to your company, you're gonna do it sooner than later. Because if you do it later, the cost will be higher. Yeah.
So you mentioned the word hallucination, and I think that when people talk about AI and think about AI, the word hallucination comes up a lot. I wonder if you can either scare the audience or set the audience's mind at ease about hallucinations and about the problems with AI and the challenges that AI poses.
Yeah. On the challenges, I have kind of following up on Goodspeed, your comment on the challenges previously, and I'll get in, and I'll fold hallucinations into that. I see two challenges for just not all adoptions from companies with AI. One is just lack of understanding, and again, in a compliance community, it's a very high risk. There is zero room for error in many cases with compliance, right? And especially with investigations and in a legal matter, and that's for me, that's intimidating too. I would encourage everybody in this room and everybody logged in online watching to take a course on prompt engineering. And if you've never heard that word before, write it down. Prompt engineering. It's how to ask the chatbot questions. Because there's a profound difference. And when you go into ChatGPT or any model asking, what are my highest risks? What are my highest risks in the data, right? Or versus, I'm a chief compliance officer reporting to the board tomorrow, and in the semiconductor industry, what are my top export control risks that I need to be looking for? You will get completely different answers in that prompt versus a prompt of what are my highest risks, correct? Right? Prompt engineering will teach you how to ask questions of the bot to get better answers and to challenge the bot. No, that's not right. Can you refine this and this and this? Having that skill set's a very important thing. One, that to get better results. Second is, I call it the concept of it's SQL thinking. Again, I'm geeking out a little bit, but most of us understand data. Remember, SQL Server or SQL thinking or Excel spreadsheet thinking. Nothing against Microsoft. But I'm a Gen Xer. I was built around, my thinking is SQL thinking, and I had to unlearn SQL thinking in a generative AI world, especially agentic AI. When I think of SQL thinking, I think, how do I get this? In order to get data to talk to each other, I have to have a primary key. I have to have a social security number or an invoice number to link this table to this table and do a left join or join, right? Most of us think like that because that's how we were raised and trained. Or I need an Excel, I need a VLOOKUP table to bring this together so I can make my pivot. Throw all that out with generative AI. It just needs to pull in the documents. It's in the concept of index has changed. So by doing that, that's an important also way to overcome that challenge is don't think like that. Bring the data together and it will pull in. You don't have to index it. The hallucination, if I can go just real quick on the RAG models, would you mind advancing the slide real quick? I want to introduce just real quick the concept of agentic AI. And I'll do it in a compliance context. These are digital assistants. And if you think about individual domains of expertise, so, and again, I went one step further and I named them, give a little persona. Now, they're not my digital employees. Remember, they're digital assistants to make your team of 5 do the power of 10 to 15 people or more because these people work 24/7 for you. Eva doesn't go home at night. She doesn't have, and she's not on payroll. Eva is trained with your last 10 years of investigative data, with all your policies, with all the DOJ or SFO or Japanese regulatory information, and you can ask her any questions related to your investigations. Like I said, she's a RAG model, so do not ask her what the weather is tomorrow. She won't know. She's only going to give you insights on investigations. And then there's Stan, who's your third-party risk. And Stan has every due diligence check and every vendor questionnaire and every Dow Jones watch list check and sanctions checked in there. So you can ask Stan any questions about a third-party risk or adverse media. And Sunny is your hotline. Export control is Susan. All your policies is Carl. And training and learning is Penny. Now, these agents work together. And notice you can interact with them through the chat bot and they push the dashboard. So most of us use Power BI nowadays, ever since it was Tableau until Salesforce bought them, and now Power BI is the de facto. Congratulations, again, Microsoft. But putting dashboards like Copilot on top of them drives the dashboards now. So no longer are we clicking. The last thing, if we go one more slide, and then I'll jump, and I'll be quick about this, only to take a look at the left. This is why agentic is changing. You're moving from periodic reviews to continuous reviews. You're using AI assistants like the bots that I just checked or talked about. The policy is built into the code. So your compliance policies are part of the query. So the agents pick that up. So it's built in. It's really good for contract compliance, especially. Multi-agent collaboration. That's where Eva is talking for investigations, is talking to Stan so that you can say, look, Eva, build me a work plan for my case in Brazil with these 4 companies and these 6 employees. So Eva's going to know to talk to Stan, to know that due diligence was only done on 2 of those 4 companies, and 3 of them do business with the government. And then the employees, they'll know that those employees, 2 of them were investigated for previous incidents. That's how the agents work together to give you that better answer. And that's where we go from just predictive, what's most likely or find me more like this, to prescriptive, that is what will happen next. And the information is referenced in the source. From reducing hallucinations, I know it's a long answer, so apologies for me ranting, but everything is documented. So in your results from the prompt, it's going to have a hyperlink to the page number of the policy that shows where that answer came from. And that's important too. You can customize all that to help reduce hallucination and get better results. So thanks for the extra time, but let me pass it over. I don't mean to take so much time.
No, very interesting. Thank you. Oh, please go ahead.
If I may, just one comment to Vincent, your comments here. So you talk about the knowledge about AI, right? And this is all amazing tools, and I think it is very important for the company to have someone who has the specific knowledge to understand all of this technology and to understand how they should use. Like there are so many different types of AI in the market now, and it's if you look at the number, it's like stunning, because every day there are like some new technologies coming, right? And each has different function. So this is something not like you can learn within like 1 month or something, right? So I think there are like some good things I'm seeing in the Japan market. So for example, we start to see some big players in Japan, like they start to have the position like CAIO. Yeah, like for example, Panasonic. Yeah, they have their CAIO, and I think that's the same trend for those international company. HSBC, they also have this position newly opened.
But just for this audience too, just take an online course from Coursera or Udemy. Just Google it and show me a course on prompt engineering and intro to AI, and you'll believe me, in a week you'll be almost as fluent as I am on it. I mean, and I live it every day. It's not that hard. You just got to take a course, a couple hours time.
I trust you. So please go watch the video if you haven't. Okay, yeah. And another good sign is for the Japan universities, we start to see more and more university they have the major of AI. So I think that the trend will continue, and maybe in the next very near future we will start to see more and more professionals graduating in this major. And also I believe with more this kind of person like people like Vincent, you will feel happier because more clients of you will understand the good things about your tool, right? Yeah, thank you.
So we're down to the last 5 minutes. I wanted to focus on how we move forward now. Now you've heard this information about where we are. You've heard some information about the kinds of challenges we're facing. So what do we do next, right? And so I'd like everyone to pull out their crystal balls and think sort of 5 years into the future, right? Probably impossible in this space, to be frank, but let's give it a shot. Let's give it a shot anyway. So I'll start with Shirai-san. Like, when you envision the frontier Japanese company 5 years from now, where are they? What are they doing?
My company FRONTEO, as I mentioned that I'm now working on internal whistleblower report. So I'm now making a system, especially for the Gen AI related thing. The Gen AI replaced to the current staff who responsible for that first review, because the first review sometimes cannot cover needed information. So if Gen AI can cover and just once interview and cover everything, that's very much helpful to encourage whistleblowing blowers. Yeah, that's I'm now working on that.
So, Goodspeed, I'm going to ask the question in a slightly different way. What is a version in 5 years from now where AI is not working, where compliance is making AI is making compliance more difficult? Is that possible, or is that unlikely?
It's a very good question, but I think my short answer will be unlikely. Yeah, I don't think so, and I think for the near future, AI as a technology and also compliance, there will be more area that these two things can work together and can create more values to the whole human being. That's what I believe, and what I'm seeing is coming now. And also, as I just mentioned, so. AI is developing just so fast. It's at a stunning speed. And so for people like us, one thing we need to do is, keep learning. Because, as Vincent mentioned, we can start from, watching a video from YouTube, right? And picking up some, new news on a daily basis. I think this is really important because, AI is changing really fast, and you need to catch up with its speed. At least you need to understand what it can do and what it cannot do, which is also very important to understand. Yeah.
I'll be quick. In 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, I see it as compliance will be highly integrated. No more data silos. And that's one of the biggest problems with trying to understand and grab risk is data's isolated across different ERP systems, across different business units. Data will be integrated. It will also be transparent. So you'll be able to have transparency and measure your culture, your high-risk transactions, anti-corruptions, and you'll have alerts. Now, on the downside, be warned, be careful of your staff. The expert workers are going to do great in AI because you still need them. Don't ignore your staff or the new hires coming out of college who have great AI skills, but they still need the practical knowledge to learn. The problem that I have and the fear that I have with AI, and especially agentic AI, is that the new next generation of workers are going to lose their cognitive reasoning, their problem-solving skills. Because when you ask an agent, hey, you don't have to go step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. It's step 1, step 5, here's the answer. You've lost that cognitive. We need to make sure we keep training that. God help us if we ever get to general AI. We're not there yet, even, we all agree, but I hope we're not there. That's human intelligence, and who knows if we'll get there or not. I'm not to say, but that's a scary thing. That's my take.
Well, let me thank the panelists and thank the audience for listening. And I just wanted to say that, this subject is really deep and there's a lot more for us to discuss. So I encourage any of you to reach out to any of us if you have other questions, if you want to take this conversation further. So thank you very much. Really appreciate your time.